This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I am here in the tranquil environs of Langdon Hall in Cambridge with Montreal chef Martin Juneau from Pastaga restaurant.
Beautiful pronunciation.
Fantastic. Now, what brings you to Langdon Hall?
I've been invited to do this barbecue series. I think some chef did it, and they do it every Friday. I heard Jeremy Charles was here last few weeks, 2 weeks ago.
From Raymond's.
From Raymond's in
Yes,
St. John's. But I heard they had awful weather, and look at this, it's beautiful around here. Really happy about that.
We're in the kind of heat of the Ontario summer right now, and I always think it's interesting to see how chefs adapt their menus to the different seasons. Last night you had prepared one of the most, I thought it was absolutely fantastic, the ceviché. Would you mind telling me a little bit about that ceviché, because I thought it was the perfect summer dish.
Yeah, I think I didn't know what to expect about that event yesterday. I thought it was a demo first, so I was really nervous about speaking in front of everybody in English. But finally, I understood that it wasn't like that. It was more like cooking at a station and be able to have a contact with people. So, yeah, ceviches. There was already those three products that comes from Gaspé in Quebec. So it was really nice to have those shrimps, bay scallops, and amazing turbot to cook with.
So they were all from Gaspé. I see.
Absolutely.
I see. Yeah. Is ceviche something that you have at the restaurant on a regular basis?
It comes. It's more an idea about how to serve fresh fish instead of always you go for tartare or tataki. Ceviche is really nice. It's really fresh. When you have the right balance of acidity, I think you can have something simple but quite efficient.
What makes those little shrimp so sweet? They were delicious. What makes them so special?
I don't know. It's just a natural, super product. It just raw like this is amazingly fat, and the sweetness, kind of fruity behind the shrimp is beautiful. So with the shrimp we did like this really classic ceviche, kind of Latino style with hot peppers and cilantro and red onions, like old school ceviche. We ran out of it because it was, I think, it was really popular.
And the turbot was a very interesting preparation also.
Yeah, well, before I think we must talk about the turbot at the end, because it's kind of for me it was kind of an evolution, or kind of three ways of seeing ceviche: classic, and then kind of French twist on it. Bringing the lemon and some beurre blanc as kind of a vinaigrette with
this is
radishes.
with the scallops.
Yes, scallops, bay scallops. So lemon instead of lime juice with the shrimps. I did the beurre blanc to make a vinaigrette with the radish, because for me radish and butter is like a classic French image after the baguette under the armpit. I think it's the second best image to describe the French people. So I think it worked out pretty well. The radish, beurre blanc, creamy texture with the scallops, beautiful scallops. And then I just used the concept of a ceviche using the acidity of a fruit juice. I used the red currant juice to marinate the fish, and it worked out pretty well. I put a little bit of vinegar just to be sure that there was enough acidity, but maybe less than 5% of vinegar in the red currant juice, and I made this unripe gooseberry marinade that was working really well also with it. So kind of fruity, funky ceviche. I think it was really funny, that dish.
Now, you're viewed by many as being one of the greatest proponents of Canadian cuisine. So I wanted to ask you, what does Canadian cuisine mean to you, and what is the Canadian culinary identity in your mind?
It's a great question. I think Canadian cuisine is like all the rest of the world. You have to work local. It's gonna be a bunch of cliche that I'm gonna say right now, because once it's local, it becomes your identity as a chef, and that's how it can become Canadian, I think.
And what are your favorite Ontario and obviously Quebec ingredients?
Everything in season is wonderful. I love peaches. when it comes from Ontario. It's the best beaches I've had. There's none of them in Quebec. In Quebec, of course, the cheeses, amazing cheese. I think there's so many. I couldn't name only one. Tomatoes, even if we only have them like a few weeks in a year, are outstanding most of the time.
Now, your restaurant, Pastaga, is in North Mile End in Montreal.
Yes.
That's a neighborhood has gone through some major changes over the last 5-10 years.
Absolutely.
What do you see as the most exciting developments in the Montreal food scene right now?
Montreal food scene is, I think, it's a great city for restaurants, but I feel sometimes everybody or most of the people are doing the same thing. So the kind of Nordic cuisine from the Scandinavian countries influence us a lot, and in a good way. I think people are more and more curious, and chefs are more willing to see what's going on north of the countryside, instead of always going through, like I said, tomatoes earlier, but say tomatoes, peppers, and all those kind of Mediterranean flavors. It's hard for me to pronounce that word, but yeah, I feel that people are looking north, and that could help having a Canadian identity, culinary speaking. Yeah.
Do you have the opportunity to travel much? Not only travel to Langdon Hall from Montreal, but do you have an opportunity to sample, say, Nordic cuisine or cuisine from elsewhere in the world?
Lately I've been to, I think what's going on right now in London is amazing, and also Paris. Paris, what's going on right now, this kind of young cuisine movement. They organize themselves in the Omnivore Festival. It's what's going on right now. They promote the talent, and they're doing great stuff. I think in Montreal we don't have the economy to back up like some people view about it. So it's really, you can't go that far away in a vision. You have to keep focus on customers because they're not quite used to it. It goes slowly, but surely one day we'll be able to go that far. How they're doing in Paris right now. The past 4 or 5 years, what's going on over there is like maybe led by Iñaki Spitart from Le Chateaubriand, gave birth to a lot of people. Le restaurant Septime, Saturne, le restaurant Rino, those guys are doing a major change to that old school way of thinking.
Now, your restaurant has been met with some very favourable press from critics all across the world, actually, but your local critics are very fond of you. How do you feel about the whole world of restaurant critics?
I love when they promote talent instead of promoting themselves, because some journalists always put them in context, and they don't talk about the place, they talk about themselves. I love how talent can be discovered because of those writers. It's nice to be able to have some press from outside Montreal. It's nice not always to hear about Joe Beef, which I think they're amazing. Joe Beef and Pied de Cochon are always the first we hear when we talk about Montreal. So Toki, of course, is one of the best in the country. So it's really nice to be able to make your way through those giants in Montreal.
Well, Chef Martin Juneau, thank you very much for joining us at Good Food Revolution and on this beautiful summer afternoon.
Amazing.
We look forward to catching up with you in Montreal.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Take care.